What kind of movie is this? Sacrificing 3 stunt doubles for real scenes in pursuit of realism? The director of this movie is simply crazy. Many scenes could have been done with special effects, but he insists on shooting them for real. They invested a huge sum to recruit hundreds of extreme enthusiasts and shot on location in more than 10 countries worldwide. Utah is an extreme sports enthusiast. One day, he and his friends challenged themselves to jump from a 100-meter high cliff to another, filmed entirely from a helicopter in the sky. Any extreme sport could potentially cost a life at any moment. Just by flooring the throttle, he flew directly across to complete the challenge. His friend followed closely, but the throttle was too strong, causing him to shoot out of the cliff. He quickly grabbed the front of the motorcycle, but it was too late. He watched his friend fall to his death from a 100-meter cliff. His friend's death filled Utah with guilt, and he decided to quit this line of work. 7 years passed, and through his own efforts, Utah got into the police academy. He had just joined the police station when a major case occurred. A group of masked thieves riding motorcycles stole billions of dollars in diamonds. They broke out of a 100-story high-rise, opened parachutes in mid-air, and successfully escaped. Then they distributed the diamonds to the people in the slums, just when the police were baffled. These crazy thieves infiltrated a cash transport plane again. They pushed the cash down from the plane and then followed the money. After catching up with the cash, they cut the ropes, and tons of cash instantly fluttered in the sky. This scene is something people dream of, a rain of cash. And once again, the cash fell into the slums, making the poor people there ecstatic. But locally, someone witnessed them falling into the forest, and the police thought the criminals were dead. However, Utah made a significant discovery. He speculated that the thieves were challenging extreme sports, the Ozaki 8. Back in the day, there was an extreme enthusiast named Ozaki, who invented the Ozaki 8 to awaken people's environmental consciousness. Ozaki believed that by completing all 8 challenges, people's awareness of protecting the environment could be awakened. However, most extreme athletes spend their whole lives and can only complete one of them. Ozaki himself died after completing 3 challenges, and these thieves complete a challenge every time they commit a crime. A month ago, in the timber company arson case, they set fire and then paddled through the world's most dangerous rapids in kayaks. This is called emerging force. After stealing the diamonds, they jumped from Mount Everest. This is called birth of sky. After stealing the cash, they didn't die but plunged into a giant mine. This is called awakening Earth. Every crime is accompanied by a challenge, but they are not doing it for money. It's a spirit. As expected, they are on their way to the 4th challenge, Life of Water, which is extreme surfing. According to the Meteorological Agency, the West Coast is about to experience a once-in-a-decade big wave, with waves as high as 100 feet. They won't miss such a beautiful giant wave for sure. Utah is assigned to go to the destination in this critical situation. Utah boards a boat and blends in, and sure enough, he finds people challenging the giant wave. He intentionally tries to steal a wave, which is a highly provocative act in surfing, in front of the giant wave. It's either life or death. There's no other choice but to go forward bravely, but before Utah could ride out, he was directly swept into the sea, unconscious, and at that moment, someone about to ride the giant wave risked his life to save Utah. And he is none other than the leader of this group of criminals, Bodhi. Utah wakes up to find himself on Bodhi's yacht. Utah is very grateful to Bodhi for saving his life because he gave up the Life of Water challenge to save him. On the boat, Utah meets Bodhi's sister, Samsara, and they fall in love and jump into the water for a romantic time. The next day, Utah approaches Bodhi, expressing his desire to join the team. 2 people remove their coats and, without a word, start fighting immediately. Under Bodhi's intense attacks, Utah is powerless to retaliate. However, Utah is not to be underestimated. Once he gets the feel of it, he begins to fight back. The friendship between men is indeed a strange thing. Bodhi, seeing his own indomitable younger self in Utah, agrees to his joining, and together they take on the remaining challenges. This is a game with no restarts. If you lose, there's no starting over, and it's an extreme sport with a very high mortality rate. Several people stand on the edge of a cliff in the Alps, ready to undertake the 5th challenge of the Ozaki 8, the Life of Wind. This means wingsuit flying. One of the men throws a stone off the cliff and times it with a stopwatch. The echo comes back in just 6 seconds, meaning the height is just enough for wingsuit flying. Fully geared up and with goggles on, they leap down, flying through canyons, over cliffs, and along the cliff faces at high speed. They fly close to the ground at 250 kilometers per hour. All of these shots are real, not special effects. What impresses me most is the cameraman. The 5 of them flew 60 times, and a slight mishap could mean death. After this reckless flight, Utah is finally accepted by the team, but it seems he's having too much fun, completely forgetting his undercover mission. Next, they take a helicopter to the top of a snowy mountain, ready to take on the 6th challenge, the life of ice. Looking down, it's all jagged rocks. Skiing is impossible, and a slight mistake could be fatal, but Utah knows well that to be truly accepted by these madmen, he has to become one of them. Utah leads the way, jumping down first, followed closely by the other 3. After a steep section of the mountain, they stop at a cliff. Seemingly unable to go further, the teammates prepare to call a helicopter for evacuation, but Utah, donning his goggles, jumps again. The 3 curse him for being crazy but follow him down, the slope becoming steeper and the speed faster. One teammate, panicked, loses control and falls off a cliff. Utah feels a deep sense of guilt for the accident, but Bodhi comforts him, saying the moment one acts is their own path, and no one should pay for others' choices. Samsara tells Utah at night that after completing the 3rd challenge, Ozaki died trying to save an injured whale, struck by a whaling ship. The next day, Utah and the others arrive at a gold mine, which has caused severe damage to the earth over 20 years. Bodhi plans to blow it up, with trucks full of gold where he intends to push off the cliff. 2 teammates ride motorcycles up high to set the explosives and escape by parachute. Bodhi blocks the truck's path with his car. He picks up the detonator, ready to set off the explosives, and Utah finally realizes they're about to blow up the mountain. Utah hurriedly draws his gun to stop them, revealing his identity as a police officer, but Bodhi is resolute and presses the detonator, causing a massive landslide. Countless boulders rain down like a meteor shower, and Bodhi escapes on a motorcycle. Utah, without hesitation, follows at full speed on his motorcycle, a skill he excels at. He uses his elbow to knock down Bodhi and draws his gun in the confrontation on the ground. He tries to persuade Bodhi to give up, but Bodhi admits he knew Utah was a cop all along. He could have shot and arrested Bodhi, but for some reason, he just couldn't do it, only firing into the sky in frustration. Upon learning of Utah's failure, the boss immediately freezes all of Bodhi's accounts, but this group is insane. Determined to continue completing the 8 challenges, they decide to rob a mountaintop bank. The police immediately move in to arrest them. Surrounding the group, a fierce gun battle ensues, and under heavy fire, one of the teammates is killed, while the others escape using flashbangs through a back path. Utah catches up and shoots Bodhi's tires, causing Bodhi to quickly scramble up and jump onto a cable car. Utah, upon seeing this, climbs to a higher spot and with a daring leap, lands on top of the cable car. Bodhi unleashes a barrage of bullets towards the roof of the cable car, but Utah, with his agile skills, enters through a window on the other side and kicks him down. The 2 confront each other with guns drawn, but in the final moment, Utah decisively fires, fatally shooting his adversary. When Utah removes the helmet of the fallen, he is stunned to discover that he has killed his own girlfriend, Samsara. Utah blames everything on Bodhi and vows to catch him personally. Back at the police station, Utah begins a detailed analysis and quickly surmises, based on previous challenges, that Bodhi would continue with the 7th task, Master of 6 Lives. He deduces that the next challenge is freehand rock climbing. The only place that meets Bodhi's requirements is the world's highest waterfall, Angel Falls in Venezuela. Arriving there, Utah finds Bodhi and his accomplices already scaling the cliff. He takes a deep breath, tears up, and follows them up immediately. The cliff wall is vertical and covered in moss. A minor mistake would mean certain death. One accomplice slips, dangling by only the strength of 5 fingers. After several attempts, he makes his choice, smiling and bidding farewell to Bodhi. Bodhi's eyes show only a fervent focus on the goal. After a heart-stopping climb, the 2 reach the summit. Utah thinks Bodhi has no escape, but he makes a surprising move. Bodhi spreads his arms and jumps, with Utah, driven by the urge to save, following suit. When Utah reaches the shore, Bodhi has vanished. At this moment, Utah realizes that this was the 8th Ozaki test, act of ultimate trust. With this, the Ozaki 8 challenges are completed, but Utah feels something is amiss. It turns out Bodhi still had the Life of Water challenge, which he abandoned midway to save Utah. Utah takes a helicopter to the suspected location and indeed finds Bodhi's boat. Surfing in such weather is tantamount to suicide. Utah goes to Bodhi's boat and urges him to return, but Bodhi, having let go of everything, decides to fight a battle for his beliefs. He even shouts excitedly, and as a former extreme sports enthusiast, Utah understands him. Utah reluctantly leaves the boat and witnesses this historic moment from above. Bodhi charges into the waves amidst the hurricane. As the giant wave crashes down, Bodhi's figure never reappears. Perhaps for him, dying in a challenge is the most glorious act. I must learn from their spirit, to persist on the path one chooses, for only through relentless effort comes the day of success.